Innocent until proven guilty. That's usually the burden of proof under the law. But in the state of Kansas and until recently in Missouri, there is one allegation that a man cannot shake, even with indisputable scientific evidence. He's number 943, but you won't see him on the field. Kevin Ballard is working security at Arrowhead Stadium, just one of several odd jobs he works to try and support his 3 children.
I've worked at jobs to where I had to shovel human poop at waste plants, to provide for my kids. So I'll do anything for my kids. I've been working since I was 16 years old.
Being a dad to his 3 children is a responsibility he takes very seriously, especially because he never had a father growing up.
Everybody grew up with a dad. Basically I didn't, but everybody else grew up with a real dad to take him to a ball game, to cut their hair, to do whatever.
So when he was told 8 years ago that he was the father of yet another child, he says he did what was right and began paying child support. In fact, almost half of his paycheck goes to pay child support for 4 children. There's just one problem. Only 3 of them are his.
I never got a subpoena to go to court, so I was just, declared the father by default.
According to a DNA test Ballard took last year, there's no way he's the biological father to the 4th child. He took the results to court to prove he wasn't the father and was told the DNA doesn't matter. In the eyes of the state and the law, he's still the father of the child. So you have to pay child support on this child?
Exactly, for the next 9 years of his life. Well, if he goes to college, the next 12 years.
In other words, you don't have to be the biological father in Kansas to be the legal father of a child.
Jill Best is the litigation manager at the Overland Park office of Cordell & Cordell, a law firm specializing in marriage and paternity issues.
I think most people that I tell that to are quite shocked because it is very counterintuitive.
Best says in Kansas, the court decides what it feels is in the best interest of the child when determining who the legal father is, a decision that may or may not be based on DNA evidence. Ballard's situation, she says, is not uncommon at all.
In Kansas, if you're the presumed father, being the biological father has really nothing to do with the determination of paternity.
Mario Picasso and ex-wife Tricia Hickox remain good friends for the sake of their 2 children. But in August, Mario received this summons from the Wyandotte County Court. The state of Kansas wanted to name him the father of a child his ex-wife had with another man during their separation. And now, he would be financially responsible.
Did you ever think that maybe you'd be financially responsible for him as a father?
No, I did. No, because when he born, I know that was not my kid.
Tricia stood next to him in court and told the judge her son Josh absolutely, positively is not Mario's child. She says she couldn't believe it when the judge named Mario as the legal father anyway.
We both went in there and said we want a DNA test, and it's too late.
Despite the fact that Mario and Tricia had been separated for years when she gave birth to Josh, Mario is now the legal father to this boy. Under the law, the husband is considered to be the father of any children born during a marriage, including a child born from an extramarital affair.
No, it's not fair. It's not fair to pay for a child that's not yours.
Last night, we brought you the stories of 2 men who have never met. Nonetheless, they have a lot in common. Both men are proud, loving fathers to their children. Both struggle to make ends meet, and both pay child support for children that they did not father. How can this happen? Believe it or not, it's the law.
Basically, 8 years ago, I was railroaded into being a father of a child that wasn't even mine.
I would gladly send him back the checks, but it's still the matter of them making him pay for something that's not his.
According to the state of Kansas, both of these men are the legal fathers and are financially responsible for children that aren't theirs biologically. It didn't matter to a judge that Kevin Ballard has a DNA test proving he's not the father. Mario Picasso's ex-wife Tricia testified that this boy is not and could not be his child. But that didn't matter either.
We went to court, and I told the judge, I said, we need a DNA test because he is not the father.
In most cases in Kansas, a judge will determine who the father is, and it may or may not have anything to do with the DNA testing.
Jill Best has been practicing family law in Overland Park for nearly 10 years. She says the laws in Kansas focus more on identifying a financially responsible father rather than determining who should actually be responsible, which she says may explain why DNA evidence is largely disregarded.
Well, I think the state's motivation obviously is making sure that someone besides the state is on the line to financially support a child.
What's interesting is that the paternity laws here in Kansas more or less mirrored the laws across the state line in Missouri. That is, until very recently, when everything changed.
Too often, I met fathers who told me they didn't even know that they'd been named the father until their check got garnished.
Former Missouri State Senator Jeff Smith became interested in the issue more than a year ago, after hearing the stories of countless men who felt victimized by the current system.
That's not right. No one should be forced to continue financially supporting a child who's not theirs.
So he set out to change the laws, and succeeded, in the form of Senate Bill 141. Now, presumed fathers have a better chance of contesting paternity with the aid of DNA evidence.
Finally, in Missouri, I think we've done the right thing, and we've struck a blow for justice.
If Mario and Kevin lived in Missouri, they would both have their paternity disestablished under the new Missouri laws, and they would not be financially obligated to support these kids.
I'm not sure Kansas law is all that bad. It has a glitch that some people don't like.
Any change in Kansas law would have to come from the state legislature. So we asked Senator Tim Owens, Judiciary Committee Chair, his thoughts about the wide disparity between Kansas and Missouri paternity law.
The laws in the state of Kansas are designed to be in the best interest of the child. Now, sometimes that doesn't look like it's in the best interest of the adults that are involved.
And cases like Mario's and Kevin's, he says, are not enough to merit a change in the law.
You know, right now we think that unless there's something that comes forward that is so egregious or it's so rampant, I don't think we're going to be looking at changing the law in Kansas on that basis.
The Kansas Division of Child Support Enforcement tells us it is credited with establishing paternity in over 6,600 cases over a recent 12-month period. But the agency says it could not tell us how many men are paying child support for children that are not theirs. And the agency's director refused our repeated requests for an on-camera interview. Usher Qureshi, KCTV5 News.